Welcome back. If you've ever been for dinner at my house, there's a fair chance this next dish is what I've served you. Don't always have time to whip up a lasagna, so I need something quick and easy up my sleeve as well. Veal Saltimbocca, or Saltimbocca more to the point, means jump in the mouth, and that's exactly what this does. It's got a lot of flavour packed into it, and it's certainly a tasty dish that I like to cook for myself. To make it, you're going to need some white wine, 50 grams of butter, sage, some prosciutto. The prosciuttos made here aren't really up to scratch, so always go for an imported one. They've got a better flavour and a better texture, and they generally melt in your mouth. And finally, some veal. What we have here though is the veal schnitzels, and they've already been tenderised for us and flattened out for us, so that's perfect. Makes it even quicker. Now to make this dish, all we do is lay these out. I might do them both at once. Lay them out, and then just put some sage leaves on top. Try and break them up a bit as you put them on there as well. Sort of try and spread the flavour a bit. Be quite generous with them. Pushing them into it. And then we'll add some seasoning now as well. Just some salt and some pepper. And now we're going to wrap our prosciutto around it. Wrap that around there like that. And I reckon we can fit 2 on this one. Once again with this dish though, just nice and quick. That's the idea of it. It's not too complicated and you don't really need to overcomplicate it. So that looks good like that. Go ahead with the second one. All right, so around that goes like that. And actually to do this, I might even cut these down the middle. And that'll mean it'll cook a bit quicker. And that prosciutto will get nice and crispy. So now that we have these separated like this, grab out your meat mallet and just give it a bit of a whack. It's always good to get a bit of anger out. Making sure you really focus on where it's joined, because all we're doing here now is making the prosciutto stick to the veal, so when we cook it, it all stays together. And maybe you got a better quality one at home, but I'll just get that back in there. And they're ready to cook. So we've already got our pan heating up now on a nice medium heat. In goes some olive oil. And I'll just pop these up here for now. And grab just some plain flour out. This just helps put a crispy coating on the outside of them. So just into the flour, and then just straight into your pan. You can see that sizzle away now. You can hear it sizzling. That's what you're after. So not too much flour, just a very light coating. And not too much oil either, just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. So don't overcrowd your pan, because you want the surface of it to be touching the bottom, otherwise you'll get little raw bits in there. So make sure, even if you have to do it in 2 lots, then that's fine. But it shouldn't take too long, about 2 minutes either side. Saltimbocca was one of the first things I learned to cook in a good restaurant and to cook properly. So that's why it's always a really simple thing I like to show people. So now that these are done on one side, give them a flip. You can see that beautiful crispy prosciutto. You can see the meat's nice and brown. That's the most important bit. If it's not ready, flip it back over. It doesn't matter. But you definitely want to make sure you get that first turn right. So now that these are cooked on the other side, it's time to make our sauce for it. Everything's in the pan. So start off by adding a bit of your leftover sage. Just going to give that a quick chop. Get that in there. You want to do this bit nice and quickly, otherwise things are going to start to burn. Next step is to add your butter. Just put it in the center of the pan and just let it sort of melt out. We do want to get a little bit of color on the butter now, just a bit of a brownness to it, because that'll give it a nice nutty flavor in the sauce. And because we've seasoned our veal, we don't really need to season the sauce. We'll taste it, but normally the seasoning's enough. And especially the prosciutto has a saltiness to it that seasons the dish as well. So just melting our butter here. This might look like a lot of butter, but this is what's going to thicken our sauce, so we need it all. So now that half of our butter's melted, we can add our wine. The rest of the butter is going to melt as the wine cooks out and heats up. I've added 150 mils of wine to this. If you're using a bigger pan, then you need to use more wine. You need enough to cover the bottom of the pan, and that's about it. Because all these flavours, if you add too much wine, the flavours won't come through. So you just want a good balance, and that's just perfect. You can taste everything in there. You can taste the veal, you can taste the sage, and you can definitely taste the prosciutto through there as well. So now that our sauce is thickened up nicely, I'll grab a plate with a pre-made salad on there. I generally have those in the fridge, and it's time to plate it up. So this is probably a generous portion for one person, but I'm a generous guy, so that's going to work out nicely. You can see how creamy and thick this sauce is, so it's going to really coat our Saltimbocca on top, and there it is. A beautiful veal Saltimbocca. One of my favourites at home, and something you should definitely whip yourself up this week. But after the break, I'm crossing over to the other side of the world, and I'm going to do some fantastic Asian dumplings, so stick around.